Hello, 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 hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the show. I appreciate everyone who's joining in. Please make sure that you hit the like button on your way in. And thank you so much for being patient and on time. And this is on me. Blame it on the host. I completely forgot. um, I uh, I was correcting papers, end of the semester kind of stuff, and somebody just happened to send me a text message saying, "Are you doing a show tonight?" And I'm like, "Oh my god, man! Oh my god!" So anyway, yeah. Somebody says early. Glorious Love says early. You guys are early. All right. So make sure you hit the like button. Let's get some more people up in here. We got special guests back in the building. We got Dr. Carmack, Dr. Kelly, and Obsidian, who is heating up his tea. I didn't get a chance to get my water, my tea. I got all the stuff that I usually do, this ritual. I didn't get a chance to do it. But thank you guys so much for joining in. Please make sure you hit the like button on your way in. Anita is not joining us tonight, so she had a conflict of interest, or at least conflict of interest. She had a conflict, so she couldn't make it. So again, I know that most of it, just for the future audience who may watch this and view this work here, just if you would just give yourselves a couple of words to introduce yourselves. We'll start with you, Dr. Carmack.
Hi, Dr. Chikima Carmack. You can call me Cece or Dr. C. I am a researcher and professor, and my specialty is methodology and HIV and cervical cancer prevention in the Black community.
Very good, very good. Dr. Kelly.
Yes, sir. Please, from going forward, just call me Damien. And I am a community-based researcher out of Houston, Texas. I specialize in community-based research, a lot of it dealing with public and population health. A lot of the work we're doing right now is centered around mental health and mental health access.
Very good. Mumia Obsidian Ali.
Yeah, nice to be back. Thank you all for having me back, and looking forward to the discussion. I think Miss Anita couldn't join us tonight, so
yeah,
correct. She could not join us. Yeah. That's correct. Yeah. All right, so everybody, we're all on first name basis here, so just call me Lawrence or L. That's all fine. So I tend to break my own rules there, so you hold me to that. So I know we want to continue on with this Kevin Samuels storyline here, but there's been so much that has happened within the last couple of weeks, and I wanted to know, did you all, and I should have asked you all this before, but again, I was late. Did you all get a chance to look at the Netflix documentary? Did anyone get a chance to take a look at that?
I did not. The Manosphere,
yes. No, I haven't seen it. And to tell you the truth, I knew from the rip it was going to be a hit piece, and everything I've read about it confirmed that. It's not fair and balanced. It's not, and don't get me wrong. My view has always been that we need honest critics, so that we're clear. The manosphere, they're mainly dealing with the white side of it. So I'm going to speak more to the Black manosphere. We're all Black here. My view has always been that the Black manosphere is not a religion. It's not an article of faith. It's not a cult. We need honest critics, to keep us on the even keel. My problem is that I've been having a hard time finding honest critics. That's the problem I've had. And the Netflix documentary is a case in point. They don't seem to do any really in-depth research. Again, I'm not, looking for sycophants or looking to convert followers. There are legitimate criticisms of the manosphere. They're legit. But I don't have any respect for the yellow journalism and kind of scurrilous, half-hearted way in which they present the issues. So I don't have any use for watching what they presented. Plus, they also, Netflix also had that it wasn't a documentary, but it was a drama, Adolescence. I didn't appreciate that either. I haven't messed with Netflix. I didn't talk to him, but I posted a comment. Mike Coulter, who portrays the Marvel comic book character Luke Cage, and I was just saying to him earlier this morning that I haven't watched Netflix ever since they canceled Luke Cage. That's been the better part of a decade. When they announced that they was canceling Luke Cage, I right then and there canceled my subscription. Haven't watched them since. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Okay.
So you say you know the guy who plays Luke Cage?
I don't know him personally.
Okay, gotcha.
I follow him on Instagram, and
Okay.
he had posted he makes a cameo. Luke Cage makes a cameo appearance at the very end of the current season of Daredevil: Born Again. Right at the end, he makes a cameo appearance. So he was talking about that, and everybody was congratulating him on it. And I told him, I said, I just want you to know that when they canceled Luke Cage on Netflix, I just canceled my subscription along with it. And if Disney does the same, because they brought him to do that little cameo, if they don't bring him back, guess what's going to happen to my subscription to Disney?
Gotcha. Fair enough.
Well, I'm hearing that Luke Cage is coming back as part of the Defenders or some other group. So, that's what I'm hearing. Okay, so we don't have to discuss the Netflix thing there.
Real quick.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm like the little brother. Everyone leaves me out. That's okay. I don't have Netflix, the same as Obsidian, but I was able to look at a bunch of reels because there's a bunch of Peace Out stuff. I've been a fan of Louis Theroux for a long time. Some of his documentaries are really interesting. From what I saw, he didn't really drift into the Black manosphere. What's interesting, I think, about it, a lot of people he was showing on there are a lot of the newer people in the space. Like there are people I've never heard of, never seen, and he's interviewing those kind of cats. Some of it, what I saw, did kind of center around, what's the brother? What's the British brother went to jail?
You talking about Andrew Tate, the Tate brothers?
Andrew Tate. When they do talk to maybe he's not African American, but Black folk in that space, it's typically those who kind of lean on that side of the manosphere. So I don't know if Kevin Smauels' name was mentioned. There's probably a whole history he left out. And I get documentaries. It's how they make them. They make them to be a selling point, that kind of stuff. But there's probably tons he did leave out. The stuff I did see, again, it was just a lot of the newer people, which leads me to a question. Before we jump into the stuff of Kevin Smauels, I've been kind of looking at myself. What do you think the legacy is? And the reason I say that is because when I speak to younger people, young mean in their 20s, and I bring up Kevin Smauels, a lot of them don't know who I'm talking about.
So when you say young people, what age range?
20s. Dr. Carmack and I did with young college students in that area.
Yeah, they wouldn't. That makes sense. They wouldn't likely know who he is, or not in depth anyway. They might have seen him in passing, but it's been 4 years. I mean, he passed away May 5th. Yeah. So it's been 4 years since his passing. You're looking at guys in their 20s. So you're looking at, in his heyday, circa 2020, 2021, these guys would have still been teenagers. Yeah. So, that makes sense. I mean, we need to be looking at guys in their mid 30s, let's say.
Okay.
On up. Yeah.
Well, I think when you ask what's the legacy, I think, the man is the legend, but the legacy lives on. The legacy is the message they're in. So what's the legacy? I think it's, right here on this podcast, on other podcasts, on other platforms that still have that ideology that he had to make strong Black relationships,
I'm certainly no expert in this, but I was just thinking, how long does it take for someone's message to really hit the mainstream? And I was thinking about Malcolm X. It wasn't, a lot of people at the time didn't know who he was or didn't rock with him like that. And then I think it was the book, there was a book published about him 5 years after his death that reinvigorated the interest in him and his work. So that may be the same with Kevin. I mean, I know Mamiya has a book about Kevin, and there may be other books published. You guys have done some research. Maybe this will be going into classrooms as relationships continue to go the way that they are, someone may write a paper about it or discover them through research and say, hey, listen, here was a guy talking about all this, 10 years ago, and here's all of his predictions are coming to pass. We, Mamiya and yourselves, docs, may be on the cutting edge of making sure that his legacy sprouts out there when people try to silence it.
It's funny you say that, Doc, because I taught the book right here, The Gospel of St. Kevin, which I sent you to a ebook PDF. So for researchers, that'd really be good. So you can cite stuff if you do any future work. But and I already got stuff wrapped up. I will send it out. But this book right here, I do talk about my reflections about various things with Kevin, my friendship with him. But I tried to stick mainly to his words and his work. But we talked a lot. Because he would call me every day. And one day we had a conversation, and it was about he made the statement that the Black manosphere, at the time, we were still mainly concentrated on YouTube. We've since pretty much spread all over the internet since. But this would have been circa 2020. He said the Black manosphere is about 5 to 10 years ahead of everybody else. Into the future. We're kind of like from the future. We're about 5 to 10 years ahead of everybody else. He said everybody else will be talking about what we're talking about right now 5 to 10 years from now. And eerily, that's been the case because the manosphere now is mainstream. There's no denying it. And on top of that, I don't know if you two are familiar with a gentleman named Scott Galloway. He's a marketing professor out of NYU, New York University. White fella. Glasses, kind of buff.
He had that one piece he did, right? About the man. He had one piece about, was it male loneliness he was talking about?
Correct. Yes. Okay. So he's been talking about a lot of issues that are kind of, par for the course in the manosphere, white or black. And although he's more on the white side of it. And the things that we've been talking about forever, for example, the 80-20 rule, the idea that it's a term of art, not science. 80% of the women are gunning for 20% of the men. He calls it Porsche polygamy because he wants to dress it up and make it more palatable to white women, to be brutally frank. And he's not doing a very good job of it from what I can tell. I've been shadowing him for the past 3 years. I have 4 of his books, and I'm kind of actually working on a book length response to his notes on being a man. And so I kind of, post up in his Instagram and read the comments. And them white women are going ham on him, even though he's trying to appeal to them as a kinder, gentler alternative to the manosphere, the podcast bros on that side of it. But he's living proof of what Kevin said, that the Black manosphere is like 5 to 10 years ahead of everybody else. I put my own spin on it. Not only do I think that what he said was right, I take it a step further. We're aliens from outer space 5 to 10 years into the future. Coming to Earth telling people, what's going to happen 5 to 10 years from now. So, we're cutting edge. We're definitely cutting edge. The things we've been talking about for the past 10 years is finally breaking into the mainstream. And there's no denying it anymore. Even the attempts to try to make us look bad or all it's doing is just making us more popular. Because the views from a lot of guys is they're trying to suppress the truth. They're trying to suppress the facts. That's the whole point about the red pill. The red pill is just the truth. That's all it is. It's the truth.
What other, you said the ladies are having an issue with him, going ham on him in a positive way, in a negative way?
In a very negative way.
Yeah.
Very negative.
Saying that men are toxic, is that their basic message?
That a whole lot of them. See, here's the problem. So when I went to the conclave, did the conclave in Atlanta in 2023, and like I said, I've been shadowing Galloway since then. When I flew out of Philadelphia International down to Hartsfield-Jackson Airport, I was reading his book Adrift, America in 100 Charts. And when I flew back home, I was reading his book, The Algebra of Happiness. And on the way back, there was a white fella sitting next to me from Dallas. He was flying into Philly. And he was looking at a Scott Galloway video, and we started talking. And I said, listen, Galloway is going to fail. He said, really, why? I said, because this is not, I don't, nothing personal. I'm just saying that the view is going to be, this is going to be the view from women. This is going to be the view from minority groups, Black, Hispanic, and so on. And you can toss in the Rainbow Coalition, if you will. The view is going to be, this country was made by and for white men. And if you're a white man and you can't get it together, you have nobody to blame but yourself. That is a losing proposition. You are not going to get the Democrat Party. Scott Galloway is a man of the left. You're not going to get the Democrat Party behind that. He's about 30 years too late. He could have did that back in the 90s with Clinton. After that was the last gasp of being able to do that with a kind of good old boy network, if you will. The Democrat Party of today, forget it. They're not trying to do anything with regard to, they see the white male as the problem, to be brutally frank. That's not my personal opinion. That's just the way I'm reading the tea leaves. So Scott Galloway is on a losing proposition. I'll say one other thing too, Doc, and I would love to get our esteemed academics on this view on this. You know, when you really sit down and think about it, we're coming up on the 250th anniversary of the United States. And if you sit down and really think about it, all the things foundational of America was created by white guys. The country itself, our governing laws, you know, the NBA, the NFL, Wall Street, Silicon Valley, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. White women had no say in that. White women had no, the progressives love talking about patriarchy. Okay. There is a patriarchy in the United States. It's white. We literally have the founding fathers. Okay. White women had no say in that. Matter of fact, if you go back to the writings, John Adams, founding father, president of the United States, early United States, there are many preserved letters. He wrote a lot of letters to his wife, Abigail Adams. He really loved her, right? And they wrote back and forth. So you could see what they said to each other. And she's almost like basically begging him to don't forget the women. She was really talking about white women. Don't forget the white women. You know, when he was putting together, him and everybody was deliberating, the Declaration of Independence, U.S. Constitution, Bill of Rights, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Don't forget the women. So I say all that to say, white women have very little say in how white men show up. They have very little say. The fight that's going on right now on the white side of the ledger, Scott Galloway, et cetera, et al. What it's really about is whether white women are going to have a say in how white men show up for the next 250 years. If you really sit down and think about it, that's really what it's all about. Will they get a say? Now, here's the interesting thing on the Black side, because of our unique history. Black women have always had a say in how Black men show up. If you really sit down and think about it. Black women have always had a say. Matter of fact, let's go back to the book. The very first chapter of the book is the high value man explained. Why? Because Kevin Smauels, high value man. And what I noticed is right off the rip, it's about relationships, which means Black women. Now, Kevin himself, when he explained it, it had nothing to do with relationships. It had everything to do with influence. You want to say that? Power, influence, the ability to aggregate influence, grant favors, and so forth, aggregate power, make things happen among Black men. But in the popular mind, it was immediately both by black women and black men. So I'm not just laying this at the feet of black men too. It was seen as a relational thing. So black women will say, well, this is what a high value man means to me. That Kevin never meant that. So what I'm saying is that black women have always had a say in how black men do business, how black men show up. They've always had a say in it. You look at this, you look at the history of the black church. You know, one of the big popular talking points of many black feminists is that the black church is patriarchal. It doesn't accede to black female demands. That's bunk. Who's the number one customer of the black church? Who's the number one customer? What is the first rule of any good business? The customer's always right.
I want to get to a question here, and I want to direct this to the docs here. We'll get this one to Cece, and then Dr. Kelly can follow up.
It's just Damien, brother. It's just Damien.
Damien, you gotta hold me tonight. You gotta hold me, man.
Just Damien.
How successful really is the manosphere, and how would you quantify it? How would you quantify it? Do you see Cece the manosphere as being successful, and how would you quantify it?
It's a good question. I would see it as being successful. I do know that, and success is not an on and off switch. So I think the success is found in what we're doing. The success is, letting women of all colors, especially our own population, know that men are valuable. Men are valuable in society. I like what Obsidian said when he was going into relationships. It is about relationships. So I think it is quantifiable is a real big word to a stats professor, right? Quantifiable, I do think it is the quality of our conversation, the quality of the legacy, the actual words that we say, the ideas that we put forth. And honestly, and I don't know if it's the circles that I'm in, but I can quantify it by the silent majority. In my group, in my friend group, it is the silent majority. We have these values. We know this thing. We can, and it's a duality, because you can see how white patriarchy society, I can see how that is villainized. That there's a lot of problems. These are the people that made the systems that are affecting us in deleterious ways, right? Negative ways. So I see how that is a problem. But two things, as Miss Anita says all the time, two things can be true at the same time. At the same time of that does not, should not, cannot devalue the benefit of the Black man. When we talk about relationships, it's because I think the African-American community, traditionally, we are very communal. We are relationship based. It takes a village. It takes a team. We help each other out. There are feminine strengths that I have that are going to complement your masculine strengths. So I think that the quantifiable part is, and the success of it is still getting these messages out. It's not just, letting the silent minority, letting the vocal minority, dictate what we should be thinking. Because, one of my favorite verses, a tree is known by the fruit it bears. Great relationships, they are great outcomes, really good outcomes. Toxicity in a relationship, whether it's from the man or woman. We don't talk about female toxicity enough. Either side, those things, bad fruit, bad tree, bad fruit, good tree, good fruit. So I think I'll let Damien just piggyback from there, but definitely the success is this. The success is ongoing. Success doesn't stop, because every time you hit a metric, you will always want to hit the next level. So as long as we are striving to the next level, getting these messages out, changing people's minds who have been whitewashed or media washed by what they should think, what they should like, getting back to the heart of things, that is success.
So I'm sorry, I'm writing down some ideas that way I don't miss anything, but I would concur. I actually take it a step further and say the manosphere has been a huge success. I mean, no matter what metric I'm not talking whether it's a good success or a bad success. Right. I'm talking about success in general, because it's at a point now where it's actually impacting elections.
Correct.
Who would have thought a bunch of people sitting on YouTube will have the power to influence electoral votes one way or the other? You see that kind of showing up with people who are manosphere adjacent. You have presidents going on those podcasts, talking with people. You see that also. We mentioned the Netflix documentaries that happened. So the things now are mainstream. You also have, look at the laws that are being impacted now as well. You have, I forgot the state, I think it's Kentucky, where they have, was it the paternity testing now? As well as you have a lot more 50-50 custody cases, as opposed to fathers only being able to see their kids every other weekend and alternating holidays. So from a historical standpoint, in a very short period of time, the manosphere has made these leaps and bounds that could not have been done. This is the grassroots and the things we're talking about. So a great example is something that I found so fascinating. You guys have heard of the ice cube effect.
Right, yeah.
Where you now have African-American males talking about, well, how does this benefit our communities? When they say our community, we're meaning actually Black men, not just the Black community. You have people vocalizing that, and now it's coming to fruition like, well, wait, normally candidates who are Democrat have 90+% of the Black vote. It's dropped down to the 80s. You literally have, and I wish CC and I would have been contacted on this one. You have the Democratic Party trying to put out grants, $20-30 million, so they can talk to men, because apparently they've missed men so much that now they're trying to engage in conversation with them again, just to see what they're asking for.
Correct.
I think
New York Times talked about that. $20 million spent by the Democrat Party following the elections. Scott Galloway called it the manosphere election 2024. Democrat Party, the head of the party bosses, authorized $20 million in an effort to basically win back primarily white, Hispanic, and Black male voters in that order, and failed. Failed. 20 million down the drain. Failed.
Well, they didn't contact the doctors here, so that's probably why they failed.
I don't know if y'all familiar with him. Joshua Doss out of Chicago, young brother. He's a pollster. He's academically trained in economics. I believe he has a master's degree in economics. He recently said in March at the Third Way Conference, you can look this up on his Instagram. He said, you want to talk about the success of the manosphere, Doc? He said, and I'm paraphrasing him, he said, the left has to come to grips with the fact that they have alienated men in general, and that the manosphere has succeeded not because of its talking points, but because it has created a sense of community, a place to belong. And he said this includes Black men. They're just better at us at creating community for men. I just quietly nodded in agreement. So if anybody wants to ask about the success of the manosphere, you're asking the wrong people. Go ask Joshua Doss. He's got close to 1 million followers on Instagram. He's a darling of the left. Go ask him. He'll tell you. He'll tell you.
So this conversation is really piquing my interest, because recently, I'm kind of we're all kind of nerds here, I guess. So I was reading through. Let me put it like this: you all are aware of this Project 2025? I assume.
I am.
Project 2025. So are you aware that one of the authors, a man named Kevin Roberts, he is a prominent figure in that, and recently it's been coming out that he has, in his education, he studied history, but his emphasis was on African slaves and their kinship networks in the United States. I don't know if you're all aware of this. So let me put this on the screen here for anyone else here. So this is, I think this is it. Yeah, this is it. So this is his dissertation for his PhD. The dissertation committee for Kevin David Roberts. And the name of it is Slaves and Slavery, the Slaves and Slavery in Louisiana, the Evolution of Atlantic World Entities, 1791 to 1831. And so his master's degree was very similar. He talked about the African kinship networks and how they communicated with each other and how they communicated, how the family was involved. He talked about the matriarchal systems, everything that we've kind of addressed here. And so this brother goes on, gets his master's degree, gets his PhD, takes this information, and then helps to construct, assuming that he helped to construct many of the portions of Project 2025. And I'm going to read through both his master's and his PhD dissertation. This is readily available through Google Scholar. It's free. You can just download it. I think I have it. So if you guys want to, probably email it to you. If you're
yes, we've all been educated on that process in light of Dr. Cheyenne Bryant's non-existent doctoral thesis. So yes.
Yeah. So that's him, and it's really, really interesting. I don't know if I've brought something to your attention that you weren't aware of before, but this is definitely interesting. As a result of that, right? So I'm always thinking like, okay, what is this about manhood, masculinity, and how this presents in the American psyche? So I'm thinking about this, right? And so I don't even know how I came across this, but I came across this particular book. Let me put this on the screen here. It's an audio book, so I was able to listen to it a little bit today. And this lady who wrote this book has a lot of smoke for white males. I don't know her race. I haven't looked that up. I haven't done it, but this is the name. This is the book here. It's called Jesus and John Wayne: How White Evangelicals Corrupted a Faith and Fractured a Nation. Again, I just bought this today. I was listening to it. I'm through the introduction in chapter 1, and this woman has a lot of smoke for white males' masculinity and saying that they are feeling bad about themselves and just trying to paint a picture about how Christianity helped to, or their version of Christianity, let me say it like that, is helping to reinvigorate their own ideas of masculinity, the subjugation of brown people, and of course, the subjugation of women, as Cece was saying. So this is all playing in. So when we look at what just happened, I'm assuming everyone's aware what just happened in Louisiana versus Calais, the whole voting rights being gutted. This is part of this, right? This is Project 2025. This is all of this. So I just wanted to put that out there. This is what's going on here. If anybody wants to comment on that, please go ahead.
I'm gonna jump in real quick. I'm gonna jump head first into the deep end because y'all, there's a lot of stuff in there. I'm actually be curious to get your thoughts once you're done reading that one book about Jesus and I guess John Wayne. So, I have a Jesus piece on my arm, and actually people talk to me about it a lot because it's a black Jesus that a lot of people aren't accustomed to. And I always ask people, I'm like, well, hey, dude, most of the people, the majority of people in the Bible are brown. Where we get this, more fair-skinned Jesus from, I tell people like, dude, y'all can't take Texas heat. Y'all are slathering on sunscreen by the gallon, but for some reason people think y'all are frolicking around the Middle East. That's not a reality. But so my dad left America 15, 16 years ago. He's actually from Louisiana, DeQuincy, Louisiana. And one of the main reasons he left is because Louisiana is so racist. That's why he moved to Houston. But he just got tired of the back and forth that was always happening. It seems for some reason in the States, we never learn the lesson. We are destined. We're almost like in this cycle. Do you guys remember that commercial I'm a dare baby. It was a commercial, a guy in the bathroom, and he was doing cocaine. And like, why do you do cocaine? So I can work longer, so I can earn more, so I can do more coke, so I can work longer, so I can earn more, so I can do more coke. We are in this cycle of no matter how many times we learn the lesson, we're trying to repeat those same mistakes, and we never get out of that wheel. I don't know what needs to happen for us to say, dude, this is all of our earth. We're all God's creatures. We all have the right to live and exist in this place. Instead, one of the things that holds America back, our greatest strength is also our greatest weakness. Our greatest strength is, hey, man, we all can vote on things. However, that weakness also is we can also re-vote on things. You have countries like China who have been around for 5,000 plus years and still have the ability to stay because they're constantly moving forward. We are stuck in this ever-evolving cycle that for some reason we are destined to repeat the sins of our fathers and our grandfathers. And honestly, I have no idea why.
Yeah.
I checked on, I just got finished looking up now, Jesus and John Wayne. Oh, yeah. The author's whiter than white. She carrying all day.
Yeah. And she's got a lot of smoke. She's got a lot of smoke for these brothers. I mean, it was coming through this. It was coming. Well, I'm listening to an audiobook. It was coming through the speakers. I'm like, oh my God! Someone did you wrong.
That's really what the current cultural moment is about. It's about whether I call it a cultural knife fight between white men and white women, and whether white women are going to get a say in how white men show up and do business in the next 250 years. I don't know. I have no idea.
I'm going to tell you.
One thing I will say to my sisters,
it ain't looking good.
One thing I will say to my sisters, and I made that point in this book, Toxic Femininity, The Black Man's Guide to Modern Black Feminism. Listen, y'all need to Sister Shahrazad Ali was on to something. That all of this going on, that's between the white man and his white woman. Y'all need to stay out of that, because that's my position. You know, one of the reasons why I helped to create the Black Manosphere, one reason, it's not the only one, but one reason is because mama may have, papa may have, but God bless the child has got his own. Also, good fences make good neighbors. Good neighbors. You know, stuff that goes down between, there was a few years back, and Kevin talked about it. White lady named T-O-M-I, Tommy Lauren. I don't know if y'all familiar with her.
Yeah, I remember that. She's actually out of Dallas.
Some incendiary statements.
Yeah.
No, men are trash, this, that, so on, so. Now, brothers was hitting me up. Yo, man, you got to talk about this. I said, and I'm going to tell you the reason why. I know our brothers from other mothers. See, I was a spook that sat by the door. I cut my teeth in the white manosphere. I had years to be able to observe how they roll. Trust me when I tell you, they going to handle that. 48 hours later, she came back almost in tears, apologizing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yo, she took a page out of the Black Woman's Handbook and had to give that page back. You are not allowed to speak about your men like that. She thought she could, and she came back. I said this, I didn't mean all men, and they fastly said, no, we're not going to have that.
Yeah.
And
so,
hey, man,
I learned very quickly, you stay out of their business, man.
Yeah.
Stay out of it. And that's a lesson a lot of our sisters need to learn. And listen, that's the white woman's issue. That ain't got nothing to do with it. Whatever issues you got with the black man, you need to get with the black man and work that out and leave them out. So, yeah.
No, I definitely agree. Last relationship question, and we'll jump into some more of the Kevin Samuels video. Speaking about just the crashing out of what's going on, what are your thoughts about Klay Thompson and Meg the Stallion, in particular, the crashing out that many ladies are doing? I heard a new term, parasocial. I had to look it up.
What is it?
Parasocial, P-A-R-A, social.
Parasocial.
Yeah. So it's
social, something like social.
So it's when people view other people as if you're one of them. You're part of their crowd. You're part of their clique. So they're looking at Meg as if they're Meg, or it can happen to them, or I'm a friend of Meg. It's some type of phenomenon like that.
We just call that transference.
Okay, well, okay.
I call it more projecting.
Projecting.
Something like that would happen to them.
Transference and projecting, absolutely.
Yeah,
Okay.
the dude who
Okay.
dumped him is not an NBA basketball player. That cat works at King Shoes down the block, and she's still talking about it.
So the assumption is that the assumption is that many ladies looked at themselves and said, if I can act like this, I can get that type of man. And this is proof that acting like this, everything that Kevin Smauels told you not to act like, is not going to get you the high value man that you want. But I'd like to hear what your thoughts about that, CC.
So one of my, and I have been talking about this for about a week or so, and I'm wondering why. Why am I talking about this? Why are we talking about this? You know what you left off on is very true. There's a way you conduct yourself. There's a certain type of class and stability that you need to attract a high value man. And I don't know if we're putting that in quotes, but a good man, a good man for you that fulfills your needs and you guys can share and grow. There's a certain type of way you need to act, carry yourself, present yourself to do that. But I think this really comes down to people, young people and old people, not knowing how to build relationships, not knowing how to move in their relationship. So we can go off a lot of stats about how this was a disaster waiting to happen. We can go off a lot of stats from his side on how this was a disaster waiting to happen. Multimillionaire ball player, came from ball player money, has had everything, his whole life, those kind of stats, handsome, a well-to-do family. We can go off, all the disastrous things on her side, the thoughty behavior for commercialism. And I love Meg the Stallion, and there's a place for the Black party girl. There's a time and place for everything, right? But we can go off those stats on how that wasn't a real good look either. But when it comes down to it, let's say they were serious about one another for a time, a brief period, a moment. We shouldn't have been privy to all of that. Keep your relationships a little private until you watch and learn. Dating is about watching and learning, and people are upset. Women are upset because, she was playing house. He was introducing her to the family, this, and that. It looked like, he was, pretending on her, preying on her, all of that. But it's up to each person to protect themselves smartly. You can be vulnerable, you can do these things, but protect yourself also. And one of the best ways is understanding that you watch and wait when you are dating. Both sides. A woman should watch and wait and see that man in different seasons before she decides that is the one. That's who I want to be with. Same thing for a man. He has to watch and wait. Make sure she doesn't do any nefarious action. She's just not after his money or his clout or whatever. So I think it comes down to people dating, not knowing how to date and what dating is for. Dating is, if you're seriously dating now, if you're just, using that superficial dating to hook up and just have fun with another opposite sex or same sex person in a sexual romantic way, that's fine too, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about dating to actually find a partner, find a mate, find a long-term relationship, because there's so many great benefits to that people are just glossing over. But if you're dating to do that, then it's a watch and wait game for a while. And also being okay when it doesn't work out for that. Being okay when it doesn't work out, that this is not the one for you. It hurts. You cry, your feelings are hurt, but the ego has to be set aside. This person just freed you up for the right person. And instead of that being the driving mentality is demonizing the person who wasn't a good fit for you. So that's just kind of where I stand there. We can't demonize the person who's, for whatever reason, okay, he wants to have sex with more than one woman. If you're not okay with that, that's not the guy for you. He freed that up for you to go find the other guy. So the hoopla and the backlash and putting yourself out there is not a good look anyway, you know, when you're in a relationship, because we know that 80-20, we can even go off that 80-20. There's competition. Somebody is waiting to take your place. Somebody wants to take your place. Jealousy for these type of things are real. So that was a problem in the first place. And then the second problem is, okay, when it doesn't work out, that's okay. That should be okay. Cry about it in the privacy of you, your mom, and your bestie. Don't cry about it on you know, the global internet. And people should be okay with that. People should be okay that it didn't work out. So again, full circle, like, why are we really talking about this? And it's because it's out there, and in a good relationship, knowing how to date, knowing what it's for, we wouldn't even know this.
Damien.
Yeah, if I could. Well, first and foremost, I am still pouting because my Rockets got bounced by the Lakers. So I am still in my feelings about that. I thought we should have done much better, gone much further, but we're neither here nor there. I'm glad the Lakers are losing now. I'll leave it at that. I have a lot of thoughts on this. Number one, I'm one of those that Cece's talking about. Listen, dude, I've been engaged 3 times. The last one led to marriage, and I'm now divorced. I can't get it right myself. I am not throwing stones on anybody. I can't figure out relationships. So the one thing I also understand is celebrity relationships normally don't last very long.
Right.
It's rare to see people like Kevin Bacon, who's been married to his wife, and they're both celebrities, and they've been together 30 plus years. Their kids are now doing movies and stuff like that. So it's rare that you see those kind of relationships. When I do hear people, specifically women, talking about the relationship, the phrase that comes up so much is so-and-so fumbled the bag. Oh, they fumbled the bag. They're not together anymore. And I'm assuming the bag meaning money. I've never once heard anyone say these are good people. You fumbled the bag because he or she's a really good person. Oh man, they do volunteer work. They're out there building roofs for Habitat for Humanity. They give blood every quarter. They do missionary work. They're buying toys for the kids. I've never seen or heard of them do anything for the community to even chime in this much on their relationship. Actually, Brian Meg is probably one of the reasons that Kamala didn't win, but that's neither here nor there. I'm going off on a tangent, but
I disagree with that one, but that's another pod.
I got you. But I would say they both lucked out because they found out very early on who each other is. I could not have imagined that they get married and something happens, and now Meg is running to the media about so-and-so, or homeboy is out, still cheating on his now wife. They found out very early on the truth about each other. So I'm one of those that not everything is trauma. Some things are just life lessons. Move on. And the last thing, and I actually listened to BGS talking about this, and he said something interesting. He said this was really more of a class issue. Megan comes from a different, and I believe she's from Houston as well. Megan comes from a different class. Hey, BGS Chapter, hey brother, love your stuff. I have some thoughts about Joker, Trump being Joker, but we can talk about that later. But I actually think
he's definitely a clown. But go ahead.
Well, I actually would, if you read the comic books or watch the cartoons, it's more Lex Luthor, who's more the person who tries to be president. But never mind. But hey, I'm a big fan. Love your stuff. We actually thank you some in the paper as well. But I do think BJS had a great point saying this is more of a class issue. Yeah. Meg the Stallion is from a different class. You don't see a lot of marriages happen between people from 2 different class systems. Usually money. There was a young lady who came out and they were roasting her religiously because she said, she kept telling people don't get married. It's a scam or whatnot. Now she's engaged. Yeah. She's rich. She's marrying a rich person. money marries money. And she probably comes from older money. Meg now has money, but the guy she was trying to come with he's second generation money. There's a big difference in that. So Meg is probably not going to do well going around with her family and stuff like that and talking to these people, because there's a clear class structure with this. You can't just take Meg the Stallion to conventions and talking to other people who are in the business realm and people not knowing who she is or some of the lyrics that come out that, you know, she raps about. So I don't think it was destined to last, but I don't really think anyone thought it was destined to last.
Yeah. Agreed.
I think really quickly, if I could, on the Meg the Stallion and Klay Thompson thing, you know, this whole thing got started because Meg made it a thing. You know, if she just did what I want to believe most of us still do. I want to believe it. You know, you kind of nobody likes to go through a bad relationship breakup. Nobody wants to do that. None of us. And it's understandable to feel away. And, you know, you get with your buddies or the ladies, they get their war council together and, you know, so-and-so ain't sugar, honey, iced tea. And they sip their mimosas and stuff. I get it. Guys get together, pass around the beers, to have shots. Mm-hmm. She ain't though. So fair enough. You kind of lick your wounds, dust yourself off. Whatever time you need to get yourself together, you get back out there. She put this out there. And I thought it was very manipulative, to tell you the truth. I thought it was very emotionally manipulative. She has a penchant for doing this sort of thing. And I think it's a real commentary, not just on social media, but something else. And I want to be very careful here. I am not saying all Black women, but it's undeniable that there is a noticeable portion of Black women who have problems with being discreet. Mm. And that's, you know, call me an old worlder, old head, old school, old fashioned, what have you, fine. There's something immensely attractive to me, I statement, in a sister that can be discreet. And Megan isn't discreet. And a lot of Black, not all, but a lot of Black women are not discreet. They're just certain things you just don't discuss. And I was talking recently about, you know, statements that former First Lady Michelle Obama made about her husband, Barack Obama, which I really didn't like that. I'm not saying she don't have a right to feel that way. I'm not saying that, you know, because none of us are in their marriage. I'm just simply saying it would never occur to me to talk badly about my lady friend. No matter what we're going through, I'm never going to talk bad about her, ever. We could be fighting like cats and dogs. Yep. When I go out in public, I'm speaking well of her. It's a bad look to speak ill. If you have children together, it's a bad look to talk bad about the mother of your children or the father of your children. You just don't do that. You just don't. And there's something in our culture right now that I do think social media is enabling. This oversharing and inappropriateness about, always use that word, Doc, boundaries. Where are the boundaries here? Mm-hmm. I will never knock a sister for wanting to have a sex life. She deserves pleasure, man. I got no issue with that. My issue is, why does that have to be broadcast to everybody?
Front page news. Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head, Obsidian. When I was thinking about this topic earlier, the word discretion kept coming to my mind. So it's funny you said that a lot of women can't be discreet, don't know that art of discretion. And then the thing is, well, who's teaching them? And then we have social media teaching them the oversharing thing. I've unfollowed real life friends because every day I go to your page is some more drama. I don't, you know, you're always having a bad day. You know, you're always venting, but it's the mode of venting. You're doing this in the world. You're doing this for attention, not to resolve the problem, but to get somebody on your side and make yourself feel better. It's really warped self-soothing to me.
Yeah.
Like it's really warped self-soothing.
It's really, I like that. Go ahead.
It doesn't seem that they were in love with one another. And again, ours is not the only culture that does this. I think Taylor Swift made her career off of talking about all her ex-boyfriends in her songs. I would actually be curious. I know most celebrities, don't they have NDAs with each other or with people that they date? Those non-disclosure agreements? I'm curious why they didn't have one, or if they did, is this a breach of that agreement?
That's definitely interesting. I don't know either. I don't know. Somebody asked the question. Blind Carbon Copy says, "Where's Miss Anita?" So she couldn't make it tonight, but we talked earlier today, and she was talking exactly about what we're speaking about right here, and the fact that these ladies were putting their business online. She talked about the single mothers. We addressed the single father issue, but these single mothers, she said, are so much different than the previous generations, and this is driving this type of desperation for attention and the lack of discretion. It's driving it because, as you just mentioned, who's teaching them this, who's telling them this, and they're getting their cues and information from social media. So even though she's not here, she's on the same page.
We may have touched on this on the last time we spoke, but I do think we're just in a need where everyone wants to be special. And literally I've literally watched people just wake up one day and give themselves these slogans, these things. I'm now this, I'm now that. I'm one of those that, hey, listen, if you were to be a United States Marine, you have to finish high school, go through 12 weeks of boot camp in order to put that, seal on your chest. If you want to join a fraternity, sorority, etc., you have to go through some things in order to be certain things. I think now we're in a day and age where people literally everyone wants to be special for some of the weirdest reasons. And I don't know if there's a need that we all have in us, maybe deep down, to maybe be famous or try to get our 15 minutes of fame. And if anything takes shots at that, we naturally have that inclination to lash out. And no, I was the victim in this part of it. They were the aggressor. They're the reason we're not together anymore. There is I had a conversation at a bar a couple months ago with somebody, and that's where I do most of my political grandstanding, is at bars. And I posed a question, and I said, even though we don't like Trump, is Trump the president we deserve? We have now become a society full of narcissists. Everyone is out there. All they do is talk about themselves. They rarely do you hear people talk about what they're doing for others. I don't think Trump is the cause. I think he's a symptom of something much deeper.
He's a signpost.
Just the indicator. Yeah.
Something that's happening within the American spirit. We no longer talk about each other as brother and sister. We no longer have that respect for one another. We no longer talk to each other with love or compassion. I know it's like a hippie, but there's some fundamental things that are really just missing with us right now. And I don't necessarily, and when I say us, I mean Americans in general, not Black folk. There are some things that are missing in our soul right now. I think we all suffer from a soul sickness, and you're seeing that played out time and time again.
We could go on and on about this, but I appreciate everyone. Make sure you guys hit the like button if you watch this in the future on the replay. Make sure you hit the like button. Thank you, Glorious Love, for the $4.99 super sticker. Let's get into finally this a video from Kevin Smauels here from Chaos. We're going to fast forward a little bit here. Again, this is from his video. Winter is coming. Yeah. Is it on the screen here? Okay, there it is.
Yes, sir.
All right. So we fast forward to about 119. This is a little bit before.
Yeah.
And let's see, make this large. Here we go.
Is that not the right length? There it is. All right. So here's what I want to talk to. I want to talk to the women who really want a different outcome, or women who disagree. Because what I would like none better is to see women actually survive this mess. To recalibrate and get with a man and have a suitable outcome. Because look, if you are good with your PhD, everybody, and I know I got a lot of PhD folks think I'm just picking on them. It's just a tagline, okay? But if you're good being single, and you don't want a man, and you got your money, and you're not a man basher, we're not talking about you. What we're talking about is women who know they want a different outcome, and you think you have more time than you have on the clock. You don't have the time. See, that's one of the biggest things I notice. Women really underestimate how much time they have. This is one of the things that men bring to the table. We bring structure. GED walkers, thank you. So, shout out to all the weed walkers. Shout out to all the sandal walkers. Shout out to all the PhD walkers. That's right. Kevin Smauels, the guy, the Night's King, the weed walkers. So if you want to send in any clip art for this week, take something with the Night King. I'm looking for that Night King gift. I'm looking for you guys to put, take something from Hard Home or the Attack.
Can you pause it real quick?
I'm looking for somebody to take the Night King on the back of Drogon, not on Ray.
Can you pause it real quick, Lawrence? Awesome.
Or Viserion. Yeah, Godfather's nerd. I'm looking for somebody to put on the back of that dragon. Guys, let's think about it. We got a wall.
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Okay. I was like, am I frozen? Maybe I don't hear me. Okay.
No.
Well, couple things. I think something we talked about last time is Kevin Smauels, he loved sci-fi. So a lot of his talking points kind of drift in that area. But I think something that stood out to me when he was talking about you think you have more time on the clock than you really do. With that, I think there's something that, especially in men, it's taught us a bit differently. And I'm giving a couple of examples. So with men, at certain ages, one of the things we talk about, hey, this running back is trying to get another contract, but he's an old running back. Well, how old is he? He's 28. We understand some things are age dependent. After age 27, I don't think you can be a Marine anymore. After age 34, you can't join the FBI. I think they boosted up the age of Army to 42, etc. But so much of what we do has time constraints on them. And I think sometimes men may understand because we see it much more often. We see it in our everyday lives. At some point, you can't do certain things because of your age. I think in the space for women, you might see that more with like modeling. You don't really have old models. Or an example, when it comes to men, you can't really be an old rapper. A lot of rappers are younger brothers out there in the game. I think sometimes what we need to start doing, or maybe just try to explore in these spaces, is so much of what men like or what we do is age dependent. But we talk about things when it comes to women, talk about, peak pregnancy age and stuff like that. I think some things may be getting lost because we don't talk more about the things that how we show up when it comes to age also. This is something I was kind of thinking about.
Anyone else had anything about that? I'm going to fast forward here to 128. That was the next timestamp. Unless anybody else had a timestamp, but that was the next timestamp was 128. So we're going to fast forward to there. All right.
I just kind of want to tap in and get a little bit better understanding on what you're saying when you're saying about where we are today and what are our plans to prepare for winter is coming. And just kind of give you a background of what I have going on and to figure out, am I on the right path to prepare for the winter that's coming?
What do you want as an outcome for your life regarding socially, a man?
A man. I want a partnership that we can.
Does that mean a husband?
Yes, a husband. Okay. That's
definitely what I'm gonna need you ladies to start doing is stop calling. I'm gonna need you to stop diminishing marriage into partnerships and calling it marriage. You're going to partnership with businesses. Start calling. I'm just saying, not to you, but I think we diminish these titles so much. Just like when I see people calling themselves CEOs of a sole proprietorship. You're not a goddamn CEO.
Well, I was thinking that marriage was a partnership.
Oh,
I mean,
please pause it right there.
understanding.
Pause that.
Sorry.
No, I chose it for a reason, because one of the things that Kevin touched on that always got under my skin: why did we co-opt LGBTQ language? Why are we calling people our partners? Like, Cece is my research partner. Like, we have partnerships, but we have drifted into that space to where. And I'm glad Cece's here, because she's a psychologist, so she can understand more about the human condition. One of the things I think it is because we don't want to define roles anymore, even though we still have expectations. So when I say
the men,
yeah, exactly. So when I say husband or wife, there are clear things in that are defined. But when you can just say partner, it's vague. And I don't know if that's more self-soothing, so we can shelter ourselves against people not meeting up to our expectations, or just trying to not have expectations in general. So I'll concede my time and let everyone talk.
I think it's a little bit of both of those. I think, I like what you said. When you say wife, when you say husband, there's a clear mental image that comes along with roles, with activities, with things we do. Partnership, I do think it has something to do, though, with this rise of, the patriarchal society, and women not feeling, black or white, not feeling that they are equal to men. And equal is a loaded word too, because the chromosome difference clearly means you're not equal. However, women want to be equal to men. I don't know if men want to be equal to women. I wasn't born a man. I'm not equal to that. I'm equal to a woman. But I do think it has to do a little bit with that ideology that if I say man or husband in that kind of way, then there's that biblical sense that he's above me, and I don't want anything above me. I don't want anyone above me. So in order to, like you said, keep that vague and diminish it, as Kevin Smauels said, it is a psychological diminishment, whether you know you're doing it or not. I know I used the word partnership earlier in this podcast, and I was talking about a marriage. We all understood that, but from his perspective, I want a partner. No, you want a husband. I think I use partnership because now we do have to acknowledge that wife and wife is, still a thing, is now a thing, and husband and husband is a thing, as well as heterosexual marriages. But in the grand scheme of things, I think heterosexual women use that term partner to kind of diminish that subservient role and imagery that a traditional wife gives. And I think that just is what it is. I don't subscribe to it, don't agree to it, but that is kind of what it is. That has some play in it.
Well, here's the thing with the partner piece. It's very simple. If you want to be a partner as a woman, it's real simple. Bring capital. Okay. Bring a book of business. Be willing to take risk. It's very simple. Many black women, not all, many black women, what they really mean when they say partner is, I want to have equal say in what you built once you built it. Once you've gone through the fire as a man, and we won't keep this a black man. A black man that is successful in any field of endeavor, you can best believe he went to hell and back, and he truly is a cut above. He truly is. Whatever you may, a lot of black women confuse and conflate achievements with how they feel about a man and their clitoris. They confuse the two. Okay.
Explain that. I don't.
Yeah.
You go so many ways.
A lot of Black women seem to have trouble making distinctions between a man who has achieved something outsized success with their personal desire. So if I like the brother and he makes my nether region switch, then he's a brother. He's a good brother. He's a distinguished brother, etc., etc., etc. I cannot be the only person who's noticed this. They have trouble making distinctions.
Yeah.
And so what a lot of sisters need to do is, for those for whom this applies, if you want to have equal say, it's very simple. Come with capital, come with a book of business, be willing to take risk. You do that with me, you can be a partner.
But see, I think you do that in a real marriage anyway. Like, business is an idea. I can't see business. I can't touch it. I can't feel it. But a marriage entails business. A marriage does entail, it's just not equal. It's not, it's not equal, but balanced. Balanced, but not equal. You can be completely balanced because I'm bringing the yin to the yang.
Right.
We don't have a full scope of the symbol without both parts.
Right.
But one part is different than the other part. So I think you can bring those things to a real marriage. So why are we still skirting around the partnership versus marriage?
Like you said, there are sisters that don't like something about the word submission sends them off a cliff, and the whole Christian image. I'm not a Christian myself, but the whole Christian thing and all. Then they start using words like slavery, which to me is an insult. I think that's an insult to my ancestors to be playing around with that word. Like you don't hear Jewish women play around with the Holocaust, man. They just don't do that. So
it's an insult to real wives as well.
Yeah.
So that's what that's all about. And here's the real kicker. Black men are the most progressive men in the country.
Amen.
I mean, and this is nothing new. This has been going back over a century. So my thinking is, if you can't, I'm trying to understand why most Black men are progressive. They just don't know it. Most Black men are in their day-to-day lives are progressive. So I'm trying to understand these sisters that have to go through all this kabuki dance. Why? What? Most Black men, I get if brothers like I'm more of a conservative, small C. I get it. Brothers like me, we voted for Trump. So I get it. You want to avoid brothers like this, fine. But we're in the minority. We're at best 25%, if that. The vast majority of brothers are progressive. So I don't understand why they got to go through all of this signaling about partner this, partner that. You getting a partner, man. What more? I'm trying to understand what these sisters want. What do they want?
I think a lot of them want some form of superiority. Did I play the diplomat clip? I can't remember if I played it on this channel or not.
I don't think so. You haven't played.
So there's. I know you guys don't have Netflix, or a couple of you don't have Netflix. I have to call Netflix and tell them to put Luke Cage back so Mumia.
I don't have it because I'm cheap. I'm not paying for another subscription service.
So anyway, so there's a show. I've talked about this on my channel before. My audience heard me talk about this. There's a show on Netflix called The Diplomat. It's actually a really good show. Really good show. It's about a woman who is a diplomat, and her husband was the woman is an ambassador to England from the United States, but she's an ambassador to England. And her husband was formerly a big-time ambassador himself, but now he's taken a back seat. And multiple times on this show, multiple episodes, he refers to himself as the wife. They're taking on, so to the question, what do they want to be? Or what do they want to do? What do they want? Sometimes it's parity and sometimes it's superiority. So let me play a clip. Let me take this down. Can I play it here? I think I can play it here. Let me try to play the clip here so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. This is like the advertisement. I don't think I'll get in trouble for playing the advertisement. But this is the advertisement from the video. Let me try to pull it up here. for the advertisement for the diplomat clip, and you'll see how the show writers have written this particular image here. I think it's got to load up here.
Which he did.
A terribly flawed woman is now the president, and only we know just how flawed.
Al Weiler, ambassador's wife.
Todd Penn, first lady.
This is an opportunity. You will be in the White House, watching what she does all the time.
I'm not walking around in the middle of a constitutional crisis with a resume stapled to my forehead.
All right, so that's enough of that, but you get the point. And they multiple times they refer to him. It's not just that clip, and that was the advertisement for the second or third, I think for the third season. And so first season, and listen, I enjoy the show, but every time I do it, I'm like, oh, why do you keep doing that? So
when you described it, and this is just probably me. I hope I don't get in trouble for saying this, but actually, I thought you were describing a comedy, and that's how the premise was kind of set. But looks like some sort of drama or maybe action drama.
Yeah, it's like House of Cards kind of thing, drama. Okay. Yeah. Political interest. It's a really good show, really great storylines, but that one part just bugs me all the time, and they keep doing it.
Yeah. So every time I've only heard a couple guys describe themselves as the wife in relationships, but it's always done in a comedic way.
Yeah,
I've never.
I think
heard
they want that. I
seriously.
think they were saying that. He's like, "Oh, I'm the first lady," in comedy way, but it's really as High Vibe has put on here. It's subtle programming, getting you guys ready to take back seats and be wives and be support and whatever. That's the way I interpret it. So
shoot, do it. I'll go to the gym all day and do Pilates and. Hey, man, dude, I'm cool. Okay, and if it doesn't work out, I'll see you in divorce court. I'm taking half of your stuff. Thank you. I will gladly sit at home, do your thing. Oh man, I'll be jacked. That'd be awesome.
I feel you.
Day?
I feel you.
God.
Yes, my career is optional because I remember asking, like, this is a lot. I really want it, but if I just don't want to do this anymore, are you okay with holding this down? Can you hold this down financially? He did not flinch and looked me straight in the eye and said yes. Yeah. So, I get it. Like some women are not understanding how good they have it in this so-called subservient ideology. And that's my personal opinion.
One thing Cece and I put in the paper was when we talk about this idea of, a stay-at-home wife or even a stay-at-home husband, when people talk about that, we're really only talking about a small window of time in the 1940s, maybe through the 60s, where you could rely on a single person in the household to work. That was not for the poorest of us. That was maybe a middle to upper middle class or rich luxury. That was not the overwhelming status of most people. Even if they didn't have especially in our communities, Black women didn't have a job on paper, they were babysitting, they were sewing, they were baking, they were doing all these other things for other people to bring money into the household. They were a nanny. They were for my grandmother, my mom's side, was a nanny for a white couple. You have these things happening in these spaces. There's an idea that when people just stay at home, they just got to kick their heels up and just work and
absolutely
have them. Yeah, that wasn't the reality for the vast majority. And to go back further, women worked constantly, even if the man was in the field. Slavery, we were both in the field. But say we had our own farm, the woman was going milking the cows, getting the eggs in the morning from the chickens. Household stuff, sewing clothes, because we couldn't just go down to the store and buy some new jeans. You literally had to make jeans. So there was so much work going on that I think we sometimes look at history with these rose-colored glasses, that these were just easy times that people just got to kind of be at home and do their thing, which wasn't the reality for the vast majority of Americans.
Yeah, I agree.
Anita's watching from home. Welcome. So we'll continue on here. You want to keep playing this, or you want to go to the next to the next point here.
You can let it play. Actually, just let it go.
All right.
She's got some more interest. He doesn't talk to a lot of people on this episode. I think he only talks to maybe 3 people.
But by calling him, okay. So when you're married, do you mind if he calls you his old lady, his chick?
No, not once we get to the point of marriage.
Why? You want to be called a wife?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. So that title matters. Oh,
Yes.
so you do understand the difference.
I do.
Thanks. That's all I'm trying to say. But you want to be married. That's all I'm trying to get. See, the fact that we got to do that. Let me just say this: Black people, we need to overperform in formality and respect. We are far too informal with each other.
Right.
So you want a marriage and a husband. What else would you like?
In terms of out of the marriage?
Well, I'm just trying to big picture. What do you want? Because most people, okay, I just want to understand what the outcome is. A marriage? Do you want children?
Yes, I actually have 3, Kevin.
How many fathers?
2.
Have you been married before?
No, sir.
Why have you chosen not to marry any of the fathers of your children?
Well, I have a 20-year-old and I have an 18-year-old.
Why have you chosen not to marry the father of any of your children?
Well, we were close to marriage with my first 2 kids' fathers.
What does that mean? What is close to marriage?
We were entertaining the idea. We were both open to it.
No, you already had children.
We had children together.
Did he want to marry you?
Yes, he did.
So I don't see. Now it's about to get hard. I hate it when you ladies come in and do this bullshit. You already had 2 human beings.
Yeah.
You talk about entertaining marriage. You should have entertained marriage before you entertained motherhood.
Right.
You can stop right there if you like.
We're learning.
Yeah, we can kind of. So I saw some of the things come up. She was not, well, I guess she was respectful, but it kind of goes off the rails later on. Okay. Again, kind of going back to why we use the phrase partner. She wants marriage now, but she's already had children. And hey, not trying to throw shade at single moms. God bless you. Do what you got to do. Do you think we are doing that, again, to try to shield herself from disappointment? Is maybe she's setting that's why she's setting her expectations so high, is what I mean. That she's trying to shield herself from certain aspects of it, meaning, hey, if I don't get what I'm looking for, well, hey, it wasn't meant for me anyway, or it maybe trying to not attach herself to people she would be better matches for. What do you guys think about that? You know, because she mentions a lot later on about her fears and stuff like that.
So, let me see, Damien, what is exactly your question?
Well, now I have 2. I guess we're too informal with one another, so I'll go back to calling you Dr. Carmack. Some of the people in the chat agreed that I guess we're too informal with one another, but that's fine. Okay. My question.
I thought she meant informal for the guest there. Informal talking to Kevin, but maybe I misunderstood.
Okay, they could have been. I'm just joking around. Just call me Damien. I don't care.
Please.
But I when she's talking about, she'll talk later on. I probably should let her play a little bit more. She'll start mentioning, her fears and such like that. Mm-hmm. What she's talking about, what Kevin was talking about, is why are you trying to entertain marriage now after you've already had your children? Basically doing things in an inappropriate order. And when she's calling, she's looking for that ideal guy that, hey, a lot of people are looking for they idealize certain things. I think I'm asking really, do you think some of our expectations, hers, but also maybe people in general as well, one of the reasons we may set them so high is because we're trying to shield ourselves from disappointment. And you can always fall back on, well, I have high expectations. I have, a checklist that you got to meet all these things. And once you've met all those impossible Herculean type, task, then yes, we can talk about marriage.
So I think that could be true. I think that's kind of an individual difference thing, because I do understand how that could happen, psychologically, but I see it more so on the other side. A lot of women who don't have, any boundaries, so to speak, because I get what I get. If I don't have any expectations, you can't hurt me. That kind of thing. And that's dangerous too. We're going from one extreme to the other extreme. But I think she wants to get married now, or someone in that situation. That was a long time ago. I don't know if she did find love or whatever. But there are benefits to coupling. There are huge benefits. There are benefits to women with children for coupling, whether it was with your children's father, whether it was before or after, whether it was another man who wants to step in and take that role. There are huge, massive benefits to coupling. And after you go through some things uncoupled, you see that the grass could be greener with another. One thing I think Kevin has said before, and it's something that me and my group kind of talk about sometimes. It's like, well, I have to have a man that makes XYZ, $230,000 a year, which is a whole lot for here in Houston. I realize that those values vary across the country in different large cities and things like that. But let's say you want a $230,000 to $700,000 a year man, but you're not going to take one below that, but you'll have a $5,000 a month apartment by yourself, because you can't deal with the man making 70 or 110 or whatever it is. So that's all. That's really interesting to me. I don't know if that was a little tangent that I just went on, but I do think it's because there are benefits to coupling, and women see those benefits, and men see those benefits later in life as well. There's only so long you just want to sit in a strip club. There's only you can't, you're not 57, still trying to hang with the young whippersnappers. Because you're old as hell if you're still calling them whippersnappers. Like, yes. there comes a time for all of us when we see the benefits of coupling. It feels good. That's just it. And whether it's you find that long-term thing, or you're always just in quality relationships, for a while. Not saying every person on the planet needs to be married. I am using the word coupled as in marriage, but that, there's different levels of that. But my point is that at some point, people realize the benefits of that on both sides. So I think that's why she wants to, find love and get married now, because there are benefits to having a husband. So yeah.
Fair enough.
Obsidian, you have anything?
It's hard to come after that, right? I'm thinking about his very, 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 very profound thoughts on all of that. Very profound.
That's why she's my research partner. Of course I'm working with her.
All right. We're at the 1:30 mark. You guys got a few more minutes or how?
Yeah. I'm good until about 9 o'clock.
Okay, very good.
Unfortunately, yes, but it may be too late. Because if you're still talking about marriage as a partnership, and at 37 years old, you're still using words like I would expect a young girl to use, like I entertain marriage, instead of saying I want a husband and I want to be a husband, I want to be a wife, I want additional kids, and I have 3 children by 2 different men, and I blew those relationships because I wasn't woman enough to walk down the aisle. That's what men really want to hear from y'all. Okay, right. This bullshit y'all come through.
And you know what, Kevin? I really saw myself so much in when you stated that our culture of women are scared, operating in fear. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what has been my problem, because marriage has not been a hard thing for me.
How old is your youngest child?
He's 8.
Why did you? Okay, so you were almost 30 when you had that child. Why didn't you marry his father?
That was more so of something that just kind of moved fast. I don't think
you know good and damn well I'm not going to accept that. Why would you even come at me? Why would you even come at me with the it move fast? What did I ask you?
Why didn't we get married?
Right.
I wasn't interested in a marriage with him, Kevin.
Why were you interested in having this baby?
No, I got to pause it right there. I mean, that to me is the crux of the problem that we're dealing with here. Is a lot of ladies are not thinking clearly, thinking. I mean, how do we explain this as a phenomenon that is really, really hyper accelerated within our community? That I have a couple of kids by a guy. I will either not consider marriage, some form of long-term partnership. Listen, I've been critical of marriage in the West, but I definitely think if you're going to have some kids, you got to have some paperwork on somebody to hold them accountable in case that person decides not to be there anymore from a financial standpoint, at the minimum. I just don't understand how this continues to be a pervasive idea within our community, and we don't seem to be able to root this out in any lasting methods.
When you say, okay, so I've thought about this a lot, and so I'm not talking about anyone's relatives here. I'm not saying that, so please don't have to chime in with your own experiences. However, when you start to explore some of the African-American lineage, especially here in the South, how many of our grandparents had all their children by the same person? Because my argument is this is not new. This is something that's been happening for a very long time in our spaces.
I agree, but we haven't corrected it. How do we root this out is my question.
And that's my response is I honestly don't know if, I don't know if it can be rooted out. Unless you're factoring in that every category in America is having less kids. And that's across the board in all the demographics. We're all having less children. So
that is true.
Yeah. So in that sense, yes, we've made lots of progress when it comes to teen pregnancies. You don't have tons of teen pregnancies anymore. You used to have those shows on MTV, 16 and Pregnant and all that kind of stuff. So you do have some movement in those spaces. But when you start looking at historically what's been happening in our communities, some of these phenomenons are not new. But sometimes when we talk about these issues, we discuss them as if they're new.
I wouldn't say new, definitely still problematic, but still problematic. And even back then, if I'm thinking about, so-called olden days, because I do believe my grandparents, who I did not have the fortune to meet, there was wife number one, and maybe she passed, and then wife number two. My mom was the baby of wife number two, my grandmother. So I do know that those dynamics happened, but there was still this sense of family. And I do think it is getting a little worse because of the so-called, this veiled independence that we have from one another. I'm talking about the so-called gender war. I don't even like that term. Just the different male, man and woman. There's this independence that I can see happening because I was born in we all were born in the 1900s. But now we can see with every decade. Mm-hmm. There's more space growing between our codependence and admiration for what the other gender brings. And that bleeds over into, if I want babies, I can have babies. I just need you for that act. And then I have my babies and I can go work and I can go get my degrees and all of that, and I'll be able to take care of them myself too. So I can do that. I don't really need you for that. And once someone is not so needed, they go off. They go, if I don't, I stop coming around. I stop asking if you're okay. You don't really need me for that. And when I feel it, that's what happens. So that's just kind of the psyche of the two people. And so then at that part, you're left with the children and working and providing. And I know there are single mothers who work hard and do a wonderful job being a single mothers and are victims of circumstance, whether by their own doing or not. It's the circumstance now. So you do what you do for your kids. We're really good at that as Black women. But there's a loneliness. There is a loneliness. And women are able to sometimes fool themselves into thinking that, I don't need a man. I don't need that counterpart. I don't need a husband. I derive all this love from my children, all this, but that's a different pathway in the brain. And loneliness for, again, coupling does occur.
Yeah. To Obsidian's point, he mentioned earlier, we talked about male loneliness. I'm Dr. Elma Chatterback. I'm sorry. When he was talking about that one author, I forgot his name, but he was working and looking at male loneliness. I wish we would explore just loneliness, period.
Right.
I think it's male and female loneliness. It just shows up differently in our society. Dr. L, please go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and I do appreciate that the idea about loneliness. I'm not exactly convinced that there's a male loneliness epidemic, but that's for another time. So I was just going to say, here's the complaint from a lot of men that I've heard about what Cece was saying, is that everything you described is because of modernity and because the state has taken the place. I don't need a man because the state is going to do this, because the state is going to give me daycare money so I can go back to work early. And so this is the frustration. And so I think it's right to say there's a lot of frustration with men, because they could partner up with these ladies had they not had this idea that somehow there's another backstop to any poor decisions. So it's almost enabling poor decisions. I'll go out there and have a baby.
It is.
The state will help me to take care of it. The state then becomes the daddy. And now, therefore, I can't marry a beautiful woman and get her to be a wife, loyal, etc., because of these other things.
She don't need me. She don't need me.
Yeah. So, right. And so this is what they're saying when they complain about when some ladies would say, okay, you complain about the patriarchy, but the patriarchy could help in certain instances. And it's just, we're in this, and I know you don't like that term, gender war, but this is where we're at. We're fighting each other because men want to get married, women don't. Women want to have children, but then they want somebody else to take care of the kids and outsource them.
Just want you for the money. That's but she proves that at some point that's not enough.
Right.
To tie some points together, do you think that's another reason why we've settled on the title of partner as opposed to husband wife? Because the roles of husband aren't necessarily what's needed in a modern context anymore. We have the government to do other things, provide, take care of, and provide. Provision could mean different things. Protection means different things as well. There's not that husband need anymore. And with what the young lady we're interviewing, it's not even so much looking for a husband. It sounds like she's looking more for a stepfather for her kids. I've yet to hear anything that she wants the husband for. It's probably for guidance, backup, to support her children.
Yeah, and I think that there's a lot of men who are waking up to this and saying it's not a good deal to be a stepfather because I don't get full authority. And one of the biggest things is, had you not had these kids, would you look at me? Would I be the type of man that you wanted? Not me, Lauren.
And that's a really good point because, I'm first of all, Black men have had the longest history with fostering other children other than their own. It's a fact. Black men historically have been the biggest stepdads of all.
Known or unknown? Yes.
Yep.
Right. So what happened? Well, the welfare state happened. And I think that the change really started to become apparent in the 1980s. So 1980 forward. A real question comes up here. See, making the children is a lot of fun. And you don't get to have that fun. You just get to have the work and the responsibility. And that's a very important point. You know, all of this is interconnected, you know. And I don't want it to sound harsh, but why should a brother care for a sister's children more or as much as the man or men she created those children with? Why?
Yes,
Listen, I ain't got the
right.
Can you add some context to that? Can you give me like a scenario?
Yeah, I mean, in the Black community, the idea, well, first of all, because we have a long history with this, it's just assumed that a brother will get with a sister that has children and will just take them on. In a previous era, I would go along with that. We're not in that era anymore. You know, I hear a lot of sisters say brothers need to evolve and get with the time, and they make a point. See, my thinking is, don't tell me something like that. Be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it. Okay, we can change with the time. So therefore, we're not do the race man thing of old. We're doing the modern thing. It's about the vibes. The key word in the words your kids is yours. They're not my kids, they're your kids. Do you accept everything? For example, if you have friends, but you know, you're a guy, you have male friends. Do you accept everything about your male friends? Of course not. Do they accept everything about you? Of course not. Same thing. I'm pretty sure, you know, Dr. CC, I'm pretty sure she has, you know, girlfriends that you will. I'm pretty sure there are things about them that she ain't crazy about, and vice versa.
Yep.
Why is it that in the modern age you have to take a package deal? Why? When you're strong and independent, don't need no man. Why? And that goes to your point, Dr. L. If she didn't have these children, would I be the guy she'd be getting with for the vibes? You know, our brother from another mother, Brett McKay, of the Art of Manliness fame. I'm not saying he made this up. This is where I first heard it years ago. I heard him talk about something called the Brad Pitt test. What is the Brad Pitt test among white guys? So the Brad Pitt test is the woman you're talking to and you hit her up and so on and so forth. If you were Brad Pitt, would she be going? Now, we're going to take that same idea and put it and make it culturally relevant here. If you were Chris Brown and you hit that same sister up, would she be going? If you Damson Idris or Michael B. Jordan or Idris Elba or a young Denzel Washington, would she be going? And be honest.
So the answer is yes, she would, right?
Right. So if that's true, and she ain't doing it with you, that tells you what she thinks.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That tells you what she thinks about you. So your question is a good one. If she was footloose and fancy free and didn't have these kids now, would things change?
I had a lady on my show, and she didn't think I was going to ask her that, and I did. This was maybe last year, and so she's telling me about, you know, she had a great stepfather to her kids, and they have been married for a couple of years now. And I asked her that. I said, "Well, I don't mean any disrespect. This brother that you got right here that you're bragging about, it's still on my show. You guys can go back and watch it. Would you have been with this guy had you not had these kids? She said, I don't ever know if I thought about it. Oh, yeah, you did. So this is where we're at.
Can't you do that with everything though? Like if Idris Elba wasn't Idris Elba the movie star, he was Idris Elba the garbage man, would women be fawning over him?
Fair question.
Even though he's still a handsome guy. So it's you can do
as
that
a garbage man, probably not though, because he doesn't have the status. So yeah. I think that's the point is that okay, now you've done whatever you've done. These guys have done whatever, and so now you can't get this guy anymore. So you go down to option B, C, or D,
which is something else is kind of crazy because you hear sisters all the time talking about I refuse to lower my standards. Come on, stop. you know, Kevin would always talk about this. He would always talk about marriage is not for love. It's for other things, duty, family, community, wealth building, etc., etc. Love takes a back. Not to say that it don't have no role to play, but it's not as prominent as we would like to believe. And a lot of us see the truth of the matter is in the Black community, and we're not willing to admit this. A lot of us are in marriages, small m, not big M. So in other words, not necessarily formally getting married, but my point is a marriage of convenience. A lot of us do it a lot more than we're willing to admit. A lot of us do. And so that we're fair, to be fair about this, it's on both sides. It's not just the women doing it. Men do it too. Men get with a lot of women that she serves a utilitarian purpose. Whatever that may be. Good sex, consistent sex, or children. A lot of brothers want children. You say she could really have babies. Okay, do that. Other brothers need financial. Let's be honest. There are brothers that need financial help. She may have a good job. Okay, and she can help me with that. There are Black men. See, there's some Black men that don't do well by themselves. Some Black men can't do life alone as a bachelor. They need a de facto office manager. They need somebody, really, they need somebody. And the only way I can describe it is an office manager. They need somebody to keep things on track, keep them, with their doctor's appointments and help them with the laundry. There are some men that just cannot function by themselves. And we all know brothers like this.
Yep.
We all know at least.
You're in a panel with one.
We know quite a few that brothers that they cannot function without a woman in their life. All right. So we are so wedded to the idea of love and romance and stuff like that. I often say, and Kevin talked about this, and I agree with him. I think it's overrated. I think that we overrate love and marriage, and we're not clear-eyed about, look, you have people in your life, in this case a mate, because they serve a purpose, and I don't think that's a bad thing. Honesty is a good thing, man, because it really clarifies things. I find that a lot of the problems in Black America, we talk about all the love, all the podcasts about relationships, and people say, I'm so tired about this. I'm not. I'm so glad that we have all of these podcasts about Black relationships, because it's a sign to me. It's telling me that this is a very important piece of the puzzle here. If you can't figure that out, how are you going to figure a community out? Because what is a community made of? A community is made of couples, ideally, best case scenario, married. But we understand most Black men and women have never been married. So, okay, fine. Next best thing. Can you get a sister? Can you get a brother that you could just get along with? We don't have to have the butterflies and the fireworks going off and, lovey-dovey. That's fine. Getting along will do. We can get along. That'll do. Okay.
Sometimes that'll do.
That'll do.
And in a real marriage, it ebbs and flows. Sometimes that is what keeps us together. That is true. The love in marriage, I mean, the love and romance, that's the attraction, that's the catalyst, and that's fun all throughout. But yeah, one of my favorite phrases is love has never been enough. For a lot of things, we just think should be driven completely solely by love. It's love is not enough. There's so much else. The trust and the dependency and the loyalty and the building together and the having ideas that are separate and me being able to help his ideas, he being able to help my ideas. Like all those things are sometimes more important than all of the romanticism of it. So I completely agree, Obsidian.
You know, going back early, we was talking about Michelle Obama, Barack Obama, and she made a statement. Actually, she said this several times. There were years, plural, years when she didn't like Barack Obama. That was an alien concept. I can't imagine being with someone where I don't like them for years. I can't. I remember one time years ago, this is way back. So I came across this couple, right? And they had to be in like the 80s or something. They had been together for like over 50 years, black couple. And I was like, wow, you know, I couldn't wrap my mind around being with someone that. I was like, how'd you do it? I talked to him. I said, how'd you do it? He said, son, the secret is have a short memory.
Yes, I like that.
Have a very short memory. And what he meant by that was y'all going to disagree. You're going to have an argument. She's going to do something that upset you, and vice versa. Is what you do. Y'all have it out that day. Next day, you hit the reset button.
Learn to let it go quick.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, to chime in real quick, you had a comment. Why'd I use garbage men? I'm not trying to disparage those brothers. I have cats in my lodge who are sanitation workers, work down at the docks, work at the Port of Houston. And hey, you're right. Those brothers make way more money than I do. I mentioned that because of the status associated with sanitation, not so much the pay. Sanitation Houston do very, very well.
Real thing.
Yeah, they make way more money than I do. But yes, that's the only reason I mentioned that, not to disparage those brothers, because living in Houston would be unbearable if we didn't have those brothers doing their job.
Absolutely. No, and go right ahead, Dr. L.
I need to highlight this. Have I put this up a little while ago? And thank you so much for the $10. Can we describe the act of deliberate single motherhood as a form of cognitive dissonance, believing that not having the father present and active will not affect the mother or the child?
I think the evidence is pretty. It abounds. I mean, one thing, since we're talking about Kevin, one thing that really kind of cracks me up, I will hear mainly black women, but some black men, they will say about Kevin, and really they're talking about his followers, right? They'll say, these men need a daddy. Duh. I mean, very astute. And they call themselves like insulting these guys, and then by extension, insulting him. So I'm like, okay, which one is it here? You can't say that black men need to be more involved in the community, more involved in young men's lives, holding other men accountable, mentoring black men. Then you get a brother that comes along, well, not him. So which one is it? Is this really about brothers moving the needle, or is this about control? Which one is it? I think Kevin really exposed that. He really blew it wide open. Because is it really about black men moving the needle, or is it about having control about which black men do it? That's one of the big things that's come out of the Black Manosphere Conclave, which was inspired by Kevin. We took his vision and built on it and took it a step further. For the past 5 years, we've been doing some really good work. Brothers getting themselves together, mental health, physical health, making money, improving their social skills. We talk about relationships. We talk about the orgasm gap. It's a very real thing. Brothers play a role in that. You know, sisters have a role to play too, but on the brother side, they have a role to play in that. We talk about that candidly. You know, all of these things, that and many more, self-defense, all kind of stuff. And what I found is that, again, this isn't all just sisters. There's some brothers too. Got a problem with that. So I'm sitting there thinking, okay, well, just because you wear a suit or just because y'all wear a suit don't mean that. I said, hold on. Wait a minute. What are we doing here? What is this really all about? You either want the brothers to step their game up. Sisters like a good-looking man. I don't knock sisters for that. Looks matter. Your grooming matters. Fair enough. You want brothers to step it up. The brothers step it up is a problem. So what is this really about? Is this really about control? What I think it's about is control. I think it's about many sisters, some brothers, they have an issue with who's doing the work. And since my brother Kevin was devout Christian, I'm not a Christian, but he was devout. I think he would agree when I say this. You know, the creator, you don't get a say in who the creator sends to do a job. And if you're a biblical reader, you know more than most that's true. The creator send who the creator send to do a job.
Yeah.
You can't say, well, no, I don't like Moses. You got to know, hey, you got to get rid of him and bring somebody else.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, Moses went 666.
He didn't like my pictures on Instagram. I don't like Moses either. Dude, he didn't like any of my updates.
We cancel him.
Yeah. I took him off my Facebook friends. He's not on my MySpace top 8 anymore. Yeah.
That's true.
You know, and Kevin was, I mean, y'all know this because y'all reviewed his material, and I cover it in the book. The first half of the book is all black men. The second half of the book is black women. The first half black men, and these sisters upset the way they talked to him. He talked to them. Oh my God, you should go back and listen to before 2020, 2016, 2017, 2018. Oh my God, that was rough. With similar things he's saying to brothers. I mean, which I can't go into on the air, but just their daily grooming and hygiene practice. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Okay. He never said that to the sisters. Okay. Things of that nature. You know, talking about you need to get it right on the balance sheet before you start talking about the bedroom.
Between the sheets, yeah.
Okay, trying to be diplomatic about it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, you know, I found over the years that for many, the issue is the messenger, not the actual message itself. And that's the thing to say today, these days in our therapeutic age, doctors, is sit with that. I've been sitting with that for some time. I don't know how I feel about that.
I feel sad. It's very unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate. Yeah. And I did just want to acknowledge that last comment. It did have me thinking for a while. I do see the cognitive dissonance in that, in you know, women not needing a man for children, and the deliberate single motherhood as a form of cognitive dissonance. That was profound to me. I'm kind of sitting with it for right now.
Again, do you think that's, again, trying to shield ourselves from disappointment? We're telling ourselves these things and trying to make them true, even though we know they're not true.
So yeah, shielding yourself from disappointment is a double-edged sword. Yeah, you don't feel bad because of the disappointment, but the inner turmoil is still there. Like the inner negative feelings and the denial. I always tell people denial is a river in Egypt, not a part of my state of mind. Because sometimes you just gotta, like, I'm the some people we say this all the time in my house. So some people, you are the problem. And that's okay, because the first step is to admitting that there's a problem, you know. So yeah, I like that. There is some detriment to the mother and the child with this deliberate single motherhood. Like I said, I know circumstances happen. Everybody got a story. Everybody got a story. But yeah, I really like that comment.
I know that I want to be respectful of everyone's time, and I know Obsidian had to leave at 9. I want to leave it off with this last question for Dr. C, and then we'll just kind of go around and then give our final thoughts. For Dr. C, how does or did your support of Kevin Smauels affect your relationships with the woman in your life? Family, friends, coworkers?
So that's an interesting question. I was actually introduced, I think I said on the last pod, I was introduced to Kevin Smauels by a friend, a really good friend of mine who was just livid. So I'm not in the social media streets like that. I can only scroll for 22 seconds and then I'm really bored. But she was really into it, just livid that this man was saying all these things and attacking these women. And, she was a single woman in that boat that he was attacking. Fast forward 15, 16 years and she is happily married now. So things change, we mature. But so the relationship with them, I am what I am, and so my friends accept it. They can disagree, and we disagree on a lot of other things, but I am what I am. So it hasn't affected any of my friendships with the women in my life or the men in my life. Like I said, I had way more guy friends as a kid growing up than girlfriends, which I think was a beneficial thing. I was always the little sister, right? So I've had these ideologies, and I realized really young what a good relationship was and what I wanted and what a bad relationship was. I had many examples of bad relationships. I had only a few examples of good relationships, and I studied those as a child. I'm talking 7, 8 years old. So it just is what it is. My thoughts and my feelings are what they are, and it's all for the benefit. Again, a tree is known by the fruit it bears. I'm going to pick the tree with good fruit. And so that's that. And also Highway 20 Skinny, you will find no Chris Brown pictures with Dr. C, paid for or otherwise, even though I do love Chris Brown, but you won't find those in those streets either. My specialty is telling you how special I'm not. I'm not don't want to be special at all. So, but thanks for that question.
Appreciate that. So anyone else, if I miss a question or something, the best way to get my attention is to hit the super chat button for the future. So hit the super chat button. I'm gonna stop highlighting questions until I get a super chat in. We'll start with Obsidian. Just give us the final words, a wrap up.
Yeah. This was really great. I mean, I hope I understand the good doctors have, and you as well, Dr. L, have busy schedules and academia dispatching your duties. But anytime we can get back together and chop it up again on these things, very and sundry, I'm always here. That, Dr. L. I would be very interested in knowing what Dr. Damien, Dr. CC thinks of the book. I'm sending y'all print book soon, but y'all got the electronic
to read
book
it. I am. Yeah.
We really, really interested in that. And I had a great time. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Damien.
Yes. Oh my God. One day we're going to get through this whole episode. So with that said, there's gonna be a part 3. Jesus,
Kevin did a really good job in sparking conversations.
He did.
He knows, even now, 4 years after his passing, there's still a good dinner table conversation.
Yeah.
A lot of things to discuss there. And that's a good thing. Any content creator that can get people talking about these things, whether you agree, disagree, you fall on one side or the other, it's a good thing that it gets people talking. That's good.
Yeah,
it's great. Yeah. So we still left so much meat on that bone. So the part 3 hopefully will come out in June. We can all get back together again. It's the end of semester for most of us. But Cece and I have tons of papers we got to kind of catch up on. But with that, I enjoyed this. It was so great that I'm a huge fan of BGS. I will give Ms. Flowers real quick, so I may never get to talk to him in person. BGS, thank you. And also, Dr. L, you do this as well. Thank you for reading out the comments what people say, because often I'm walking my dog or I'm driving my car and I can't look at my phone to see what the super chats are saying. I appreciate so much when you guys do that. So thank you so much. But with that, I really enjoyed the conversation. We may have only touched on maybe 20 minutes of Kevin Smauels, but the brother was so prophetic that it's so interesting to see how the things he talked about are coming to fruition. And that's what's constantly keeping us engaged. I think we could definitely talk another hour, maybe two, and still not finish the episode, because we'll stop every now and then just to talk and reflect on what this is. So for those of you who are not maybe academically inclined, this is what qualitative research is. You're picking out these segments and you're discussing it, you're coding it, you're theming it, and you're discussing what the inner depths of these what people are saying mean and how they resonate with us. So this is a quick academic lesson for people. They can take this with them. Also, if they're looking to go into those academic spaces, this is a great reason to start doing qualitative research.
Mm-hmm. And bring those academic settings to the community. You can do this in your community center. Start a huddle, start a cipher, do that.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I think the Iceman wants to challenge you. He wants to know what BJJ rank you are there. So,
I am a 10-year blue belt. So I'm one of those that I make it very hard for. So first off, Gracie Barr represent. I make it very hard for purple belts and brown belts. But I still tap. Hey, we have open mats every Sunday. If anyone's looking to come hang out, open mats are just basically the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu equivalent of taking a basketball down to a rec center. You're just rolling. You're wrestling with whoever's in the class, whoever's hanging out that day. So that's what open mats are. So I love that kind of stuff. I actually travel overseas a lot. I'll be back overseas in a week or so, and I'll be in London. I'll hit up some jiu-jitsu over there. I'll be in Italy. I'll hit some jiu-jitsu over there as well. It's a great way to make friends. It's just hugging. That's basically what it is. Just a hugging kind of thing. And it's one of those things that it's interesting how many men post-divorce gravitate toward Brazilian jiu-jitsu. You have a lot of guys coming from those spaces, coming and hanging out on the mats. You could tie it to male loneliness, looking for companionship, brotherhood, things of that nature, because you meet lots of people from all different walks of life, and we're there just trying to improve and work on ourselves. But no, I am a 10-year blue belt, because I'm not big on rank anymore. I've made white belts tap. I've made purple belts, brown belts tap. I've also been tapped by white belts. I've been put to sleep 3 times. Hey, I'm over it.
I mean, I really enjoy BJJ, but there's no place that's close to me. The closest is like 40, 50 minutes away. So I just don't have the time to do it, but I'm going to get back to it one day. Let me see here.
If you ever guys heard of Houston, we'd love to have you guys come roll with us, man.
Yeah. Well, I used to do it a lot. I used to teach police officers like defensive tactics and stuff. I used to do that. And I enjoy it. And it's a great workout. But I don't know if they always close down. Like if we find a nice spot, like 15 minutes away, and the next thing you know, it closes down. I'm like, how come nobody wants to do this? So, but I'll get back into it one day. Dr. Cece, final words there.
Thank you guys for having me. I always enjoy conversation in this space. I'm dedicated to people having good relationships, good lives, good minds. So thank you very much for having me. And I bless the Dr. L podcast. I'll be happy to join next time. I am invited.
Oh, you're definitely invited. Don't worry about that. I want to, and thank you so much. That was very kind of you. I wanted to comment on what Dr. Kelly said. Damien said. So he said, something about being prophetic. And my son and I, he's starting to grow up. He's starting to catch things, right? And so he's almost 30 now. So he came in the other day. I was doing some stuff, and we talked for like an hour, having this great question about prophets of the Bible, and things like that, and what that really means. And I turned him on to this other professor, other guy, Professor Zhang, if anybody's ever heard of him. He has predicted the war in Iraq.
The guy, he's getting really famous right about now.
So I turned my son on to him. He's been binge watching him. So we started talking about the divine spark and the moad and all this kind of monad and all this type of stuff, right? So I said, some people just have this ability, and my son was like, well, maybe it's God that's given this guy, Professor Chang, all this stuff. And I don't know about that. Slow your roll. but at least you're thinking about this and how some people can have better insight and more insight than other people. And I think that was definitely Kevin. He was definitely just a man who was ahead of his time concerning the future of relationships and really understood relationships. So I just wanted to say that.
Dr. O, can I chime in something?
Absolutely.
Something you just said sparked something that Obsidian said as well when he mentioned how Black folk are really just the canary in the coal mine. We're 10 years ahead. Kevin, again, being prophetic. The other doctor you mentioned kind of being in that same space. And I'm not equating myself to these guys. They're on a whole different level than I am. Dude, I'm still junior league. I'm junior varsity, excuse me. But something I have experienced from sometimes being ahead of the curve, it is a very isolating and lonely experience to always be months, sometimes in Kevin and these other guys' space, 5 to 10 years ahead of people. The average person you talk to, that is a very isolating space to be in. It's very lonely. No one understands you. And you always in conversation will just wait and see. And they literally have to go through what you're saying to prove you right. That's very isolating. I don't think people realize that aspect of it.
Yeah. And I also remind people that those types of people get killed, unfortunately.
Yes.
I don't mean to laugh about it, but you look at all the different people who have made a difference, spoke out about government, spoke out against the organized religion of their day, spoke out about a lot of different things. They don't last very long. So unfortunately. So, and I wish that wasn't the case. I'm not speaking ill or wanting to see that happen to anyone, but their messages, for some reason, it's a short message. You look at the life of Jesus, 3 years or so. So it's unfortunate, All right, everyone. Now we left it off a depressing note there.
You had to bring it down. What the hell's going on? It got dark.
It was Damien.
All right. So appreciate everybody joining in. Make sure you hit the like button. Check out if you have not read their paper. I don't have it right now to put it up here, but also remember, Anita's got a channel. Obsidian is on Rumble, correct? You still there?
Yeah, Rumble, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Just look for my name. You just Google me. It all comes up.
Very good. All right, y'all.
If you want to read the Kevin Samuels paper, just go to Google, type in Kevin Samuels journal, and one of the first 3 or 4 entries, it's addressing whatever. Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah. And y'all, yes, absolutely. Have a great night. Have a great weekend, and happy Mother's Day to all the mothers. Make sure you guys appreciate your mothers. And all that kind of good stuff. Take care. Have a great night.
Bye, guys.
God bless you guys. Good night.